Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I am back with another true crime video, and today we are going to be doing the story of Hlengiwe, Msimango and Mosa Ntsibande. If you're new to this channel, I try and do these videos often, so please do check out the playlist. I've done a couple already and I will be doing more in the near future. Now with that said, and without wasting any more time, let's dive into today's video. Today's video takes us to Durban in KwaZulu-Natal, and subsequently we will end up in Johannesburg. Hlengiwe Msimango was born on the 7th of September in 1990 in Durban. She is described by her friends and family as someone who was extremely humble, loving and reliable in nature, and she also had a very vibrant personality, which is why she easily got along with most people. Unfortunately, through tragedy, she lost her mother at a very young age, and she had to move to Johannesburg, where she was going to be taken in by her aunt Thandi Nkumana and uncle Mthokozisi Nkumana, who raised her in such a loving and caring environment. Life was good, and in 2007 she matriculated and immediately started working in retail, although her passion and her dream was that she would ultimately own a restaurant one day. Now over the years she worked at different retail stores. She once worked at Ora Tambo at the Guest clothing shop there, and she did really well. She forged good relationships, and thereafter she moved to KTH retail store, which was in Melrose. This is where she was employed by Kate Swart. Now although Kate was Hlengiwe's boss and 8 years her senior, but they actually forged a beautiful sisterhood. Now you would think that because they had a boss and employee relationship, they didn't want to topple over it, but because of Hlengiwe's personality and how hardworking she was, and also how dependable she was, it was very easy for them to actually, on top of having a working relationship, also have a very good sisterhood. Kate referred to Hlengiwe as my girl Pearl or Pearl, and over the years would throw her baby showers when she started having kids, and generally treated her so well as an employee. At this point, Hlengiwe was in a relationship with a young man named Mosa Ntsibande. Mosa was 3 years older than Hlengiwe. He was born on the 15th of July in 1987. Mosa had a child from a previous relationship, and him and Hlengiwe would later have 2 children of their own during the course of the relationship. Now from the outside looking in, the relationship seemed like it was going very well, and they were always seen out and about together, whether going to restaurants. They enjoyed motorbikes as well, so they would go on motorbike rides with friends, and they were always spending time together, which is why it was very easy for people to feel like the relationship was going quite well. However, an incident that happened at KTH, the clothing shop, showed that things aren't really as they seemed, and perhaps Mosa was overly possessive and was very insecure. And what happened was that there was this gentleman who used to like going to the shop. It was a woman's clothing shop, and Hlengiwe worked there with another assistant, and basically this man would just go in and greet Hlengiwe and do some little small talk here and there. Nothing really crazy. Now Hlengiwe obviously went back home and told her man about this, that there's this gentleman, he likes coming to greet me and so on and so forth, and he did not take kindly to it, and this is what happened.
She was the most beautiful girl, and she was very striking, and a man would come and visit her and just pop in and say hi, and she obviously told her fiancé about this man, and he came and sat at the shop with his gun all day waiting for this man to come, and that he didn't come and say hi to her that day. He came the next day, and I happened to be there, and I said to him, please don't come back here because you will get into trouble. It's dangerous, and please don't ever come back here. It's a ladies' clothing shop and you don't need to be here. And I didn't think much of it at the time. I thought he was just possessive, and she seemed happy. But when I look back now, I mean, I wish I'd done more.
So obviously this incident showed a lot of people that Mosa was a bit crazy and possessive. Unfortunately though, Hlengiwe would not open up much about the state of her relationship and actually the extent of the abuse that she was going through back at home, because she was actually being abused by Mosa as well. Life went on as it normally does, and on the 7th of September in 2018, on Hlengiwe's 28th birthday, Mosa proposed at a restaurant and she said yes. And just a few months later, they welcomed their second child, a baby baby boy, and things really seemed like they're going well for the couple. Unfortunately though, they were not, because just months after the baby was born, Mosa started not coming back at home as he normally did. So he'd spend nights away from home and also just not help Hlengiwe with the newborn baby. Now you must remember, at this time they already had a 3-year-old girl. Mosa had the child from the previous relationship who also stayed with them here and there, and she had a little baby who was not even anywhere close to being 1 at this point, and Mosa was just not spending any time at home. And sadly, she also found out that Mosa was actually having relationships with other women, which is where he would be gone to during the days where he was not at home. Now Hlengiwe, like I already mentioned, was not one to share about her relationship to anyone, be it her friends, her family, or anyone, even her boss that she was close to. She didn't really dive into the nitty-gritties of the relationship to anyone. But because of how this thing was playing out, she had a newborn, her man was not at home, she really felt like she needed to speak to someone, and therefore she decided to speak to her aunt Thandi, who is literally like a mother to her because she raised her, and told her that, listen, like, this person is not spending any time at home, and this is what happened.
Look, Hlengiwe, as I say, akusiyena umntwana okhulumayo. You have to dig makhuluma naye. Nje akazwana ukukhuluma, akazwana umsindo. But leyo owangitshela, ngamtshela ukuthi ngizoza. Wesanda kuthola umntwana. Wathi ma umusa usenomkhubo ngalala ekhaya. Ubuya ngakusasa. Umusa usena extramarital affairs. But he's denying it. So ngathi okay fine, ngizofika ke. Ngafika, mangifika vele umusa was not there. Wayehambe the previous night eye ku funeral. So mase buya vele sengikhona endlini. Ngilapha endlini ukuzothola kahle ukuthi kahle kwenzakalani. So bangihlezi lapho angena umusa. But hours later ngifikile. Cishe ngaboma 1 after 1. Bese ngithi Musa, njengoba ngila ngizokhuluma ngoba nami uHlengiwe kunendaba angitshele yona akekho happy ngayo. Njengoba ufika manje uHlengiwe ungitshela ukuthi asalala ekhaya. So ngizolungisa into efana nalezo. That was it. Wathula kangabe sangiphendula. Ngaze ngahamba akazange aphuma kamereni.
So clearly this showed that Mosa did not want any sort of interference from anyone when it came to his relationship, and was definitely not willing to compromise on that. Things did not get any better from this point onwards. In fact, it got worse. Fearing being reprimanded, Hlengiwe did not mention or say anything about her relationship from this point onwards. But she did hint. She hinted a lot, and one of the hints came by when she called one of her cousins that she grew up with and begged the cousin to please move in with her and Mosa and the kids. And the reason behind her actually asking for this was that she was hoping that if someone else was in the house, then Mosa would not hit her, because obviously he would be ashamed to hit her in front of her family members. But unfortunately, the cousin at the time did not understand why she was asking for this, and because she did not elaborate, she never ended up moving in with Hlengiwe and Mosa. The year now is 2019. Mosa paid 12,000 rands towards Hlengiwe's lobola in the beginning of the year. Their newborn child was 8 months old, their firstborn was 3 years old, and they were staying at Birch Acres in Campton Park. Mosa's child from his previous relationship was also living with them half the time, and Hlengiwe had a great relationship with him. And technically, they were now married under customary law because he had paid lobola, and from the outside looking in, honestly, the family looked like they were thriving. Sadly, if you zoomed into the relationship, the cracks were there and they were showing. Now, Hlengiwe had actually started communicating with some of her friends that she wanted to leave the relationship and was making plans to do so. Although she did not really elaborate in terms of why she was leaving the relationship, but all that she told them was that she just wants to end this relationship and move on with her life. Hlengiwe would not be given the opportunity to put her plans into action because tragedy would strike on the 3rd of August 2020, just a month before her 30th birthday. Now, when it comes to the night of the 2nd of August, moving on to the early hours of the 3rd of August 2020, there are two versions of the story of what happened. The one version is Mosa's version of the story, and the other version is the law's version. And I'm going to start by telling you guys what Mosa says happened in terms of his story. Mosa claims that on Sunday, the 2nd of August 2020, the couple went to bed as usual after tucking in their little kids. He then went on to say that around 4 a.m. in the morning, and now it's the 3rd, on the Monday, Hlengiwe woke him up and was like, you know what, I'm hearing some sounds and some voices outside. Please go check. I'm scared. Now, obviously, Mosa, being the man of the house, fearing that perhaps there are intruders outside, he takes his firearm and then he goes outside to check what was going on. He then said when he got outside, nothing's going on, there's no one here, and then he got back into the house. So you must remember the time now is around 4 a.m. going towards 5 a.m. in the morning. So he then got back into the house and he went to their bedroom. And this is when he said he saw a shadow behind the curtains. And almost immediately, without thinking, he started firing at the said shadow 3 times. And only after this, he then says he realized that in fact, there was no intruder. The intruder that he thought was there was in fact Hlengiwe. And unfortunately, she had immediately passed away. Unfortunately for him, no one would believe his version of events. Now, the main problem was that, one, when Hlengiwe was found, she was fully dressed, with normal clothes that looked like she was possibly wearing these the previous Sunday during the day, and so was he. So they were not in pajamas or anything like that showed that maybe they woke up in the middle of the night and really they saw an intruder. These people were dressed and they were dressed normally. And it was believed that perhaps they had an argument and were actually arguing the whole night, and that is what led to the incident. Secondly, the time when this incident happened was around 4 to 5 in the morning, and there was no way anyone could actually see a shadow during that time in the morning on a window, because it was just not possible, because it would be starting to get light outside. Another problem with his version of events is that Hlengiwe was not found anywhere near the curtain. Instead, she was below the bed, which was far from the curtain. So if you're firing at the curtain, why are you firing at someone who's like right in front of you by the door below the bed? And lastly, and possibly the most tragic and the most traumatic, is that the 3-year-old daughter noticed, witnessed, and would later actually share this. Immediately after Mosa shot Hlengiwe, he went to the living room and he sat down. Luckily, the neighbors heard everything that was going on. They rushed to the house, and before they did anything else, they took the kids with them and they took them next door. And this is when they called the police, and thereafter they called Hlengiwe's aunt/mom, and this is what happened.
There was a neighbor, was from a guy. After 6, because I was busy, we were preparing Msimango. So when I was busy ironing for Ubaba Msimango, fortunately the previous day. So busy I call. I guess the number, but I had to answer. Bebonje ngibingelele athi mama kaHlengiwe ngiyacela bandla manje ngicela niphuthume la hlala khona uHlengiwe. Hawu sebenze njani? Hayi manje na khona ukuvelile. Yini kuveleni? Hayi sebedubulene. Ngithi banodubule bani? Athi mama ngeke ngikwazi ukukutshela manje ngicela ufike ngicela niphuthume nize la uHlengiwe bahlala khona. Athi hayi okay siyeza ke.
Hlengiwe's parents rushed to the house, and when they got there, Mosa was already in the police van, and Hlengiwe's aunt insisted on speaking with him, and he basically told her this whole intruder story that she just did not fall for. The police took him to the station, and the family was so distraught about everything that had happened. They started planning for her memorial and her funeral, and she was laid to rest on the 14th of August 2020 in a burial in Durban. Because of how young Hlengiwe's kids were at the time, one was 8 months old and the other was 3 years old, Kate, Hlengiwe's ex-boss, decided to take it upon herself to try and raise funds for the kids so that one day they would be able to graduate from a university. She created a GoFundMe account and also started a small business which she called My Girl Pearl, which is what she called Hlengiwe. And this is where she was selling bracelets with a pearl on it, and all the proceeds from this was going to go to Hlengiwe's kids. Now this page, you can find them on Instagram, they're on Facebook as well as TikTok. Do check them out if you would like to support. Now, unfortunately, while all of this was happening, Mosa was able to get bail, and in 2020, he was out and about, back in society, living his best life. Now, obviously, because he was in jail, he did not attend Hlengiwe's funeral, and for obvious reasons, the family was not speaking to him. So he decided to go to KZN and he started looking for Hlengiwe's grave, and he was able to find it. And when he found the grave, he decided to put a tombstone on it without actually consulting any family member. And the whole idea behind this was that he felt like he was the husband and he therefore had the right to erect a tombstone for his wife, which is so cringe considering like you took this person's life from everyone. Nonetheless, the family was obviously very livid and upset about this whole thing, and they went on to actually say that actually you paying 12,000 rand lobola is not actually getting married. No other rituals were observed, so just paying money does not mean that you guys were married under customary law. Now, for the next 3 years, while the whole case was undergoing the court processes, Mosa was outside living his best life. 2021, 2022, and 2023, and finally just last week Friday on the 15th of September 2023, on Hlengiwe's aunt's birthday, he was actually found guilty after a tedious 3 years of murdering his fiancée Hlengiwe.
So we've been in High Court since 9 o'clock this morning, and it's now 1 o'clock. The Friday the 15th of September, and we were waiting for a verdict from our judge. So I can let you know that Mosa has been found guilty of murder. He is behind bars after being free for 3 years after killing Pearl. So finally, we have justice. Guys, we have justice for Hlengiwe. I cannot thank you enough. Literally, this has been my life.
And with that, we have come to the end of today's video. He is still yet to be sentenced at the time that I'm recording the video. He will be sentenced next month. So we're all hoping for a hefty sentence. And thank you guys so much for watching. My voice is cracking because the flu I have is straight from hell. But I really wanted to push that at least you guys have one video this week. Thank you guys, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Stay safe out there. Also, I am still sponsored by Co-Black, so please support them. I'll put the links down below. Cheers. Bye.